In this video, I'll be using shaping and targeting to teach a raised paw target. There's no prerequisite as such for teaching a raised paw target, but if your dog knows paw, it will be helpful. To start with, I'll be shaping a paw to target in hand. In this video, the target I'm using is a small rubber disc, but a target can be anything you can stick onto another surface. It can be a post-it note, a small disc, a plastic lid. Start by placing the target in the palm of my hand and holding my hand out. This is where knowing give a paw would be useful. And I wait for Bella to place her paw in my hand and therefore on the target. At first, your dog might not take any notice of the target, and if that's the case, you would just shape the paw in hand by rewarding any interaction with the target in the hand until you get a paw in hand. As soon as Bella puts her paw on the target in my hand, I mark and reward, and then I repeat that until I'm getting a reliable, fluent and purposeful paw on the target. I'm using a verbal marker to start with, as it's difficult for me to effectively use a clicker and deliver rewards with the one spare hand. I do not use any cues at this point, and I won't be adding a verbal cue until I have the behaviour that I
Good girl.
Once you have a fluent and purposeful paw on target, the next step is to add height. I say purposeful paw on target for a reason, as you don't want a half-hearted, wishy-washy paw touch, especially if you're going on to teach a push buttons. You need it to be purposeful. To add some height, raise your hand with the target a few inches higher. Be careful to only add height a few inches at a time. Don't move the target way up high and expect your dog to know what to do. Dogs learn in pictures, and every time you change the criteria, like adding height, you are changing the picture. So add height slowly and gradually, and if your dog struggles, just lower the target down again.
Yes, good girl. Yes.
So I keep moving the target a bit high, a few inches at a time, until I've got it level with Bella's head. And then the next step is to hold the target flat to a wall or a door, etc. I'm not sticking the target up yet. I still need to keep my hand behind the target at this stage. And in the video, I'm just holding it against a sofa. In the next couple of clips, Bella touches the target with her nose, and I don't mark and reward that as I want a paw to target. This highlights that the picture has changed for Bella, and she doesn't know yet that a target at this height means the same as a target 2 inches lower. But changing the picture and raising the criteria does not mean that the behaviour stays fluent.
Yes, good girl. Yes.
Bella has a preference for using her left paw, so I adjust my position a bit to enable her to touch the target with her preferred paw and therefore setting her up for success. Remember that by changing my position, I'm changing the picture, so I'll lower the criteria if I need to.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So I raise the target higher and place and stick it on a wall or something similar like a door. And remember to place it at a height that's achievable for your dog. I'm also now using the clickers because I've got both hands free now. Next, you can add your verbal cue, but only add a verbal cue once you have the final behaviour fluent. The verbal cue I use for pushing a button is literally just push. So to add a verbal cue, say your cue push before you give any visual or hand signal, because you may have been pointing to the target up until now. And then once your dog is reliably responding to the verbal cue, then you can move on to putting the target onto various other objects, which we'll move on to.
Push. 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 Push.
You can proof the behaviour further by moving the target to different locations and different heights, different walls. Remember to set up for success and take a step back if needed when you're raising the criteria. And remember, increase criteria distance or distractions only when the dog is fluent at the previous level. Once you are at the stage where your dog will push the target on cue and in different locations with different distractions, you can start work on transferring the behaviour, the push, onto different objects like light switches, lift buttons, automatic door buttons, and so on. When transferring the behaviour, though, to anything new, remember to lower the criteria to start with if you need to. A quick example of how I would transfer the behaviour to something else like a light switch. I would stick the target onto the light switch and then ask Bella for a push. Repeat that several times and then remove the target and ask for a push again. And if Bella doesn't push the light switch, I would just go back to doing repetitions with the target stuck still on. Here in the video, Bella is switching the lights on and off.
Ready? Go push lights. Yeah. Push.
And pushing an automatic door plate to open an automatic door. And here pushing the lift buttons.
Push. Push. Yes. Go. Push. Yes. Push. Yes. Go.
A quick note about position. Depending on how big or how small or how hard or how gentle you need your dog to push, you can shape that to get a more precise push by only marking and rewarding the correct responses. For example, don't mark and reward a sloppy paw swipe when you want something a bit firmer. Withhold your click and wait more for a firm push. But be careful to make sure that your dog still has some successes, because if you constantly withhold the reward, the behaviour could become frustrating for your dog.